It's been a long 2 months since we did our last power rankings video, but thankfully by the end of this video, you're gonna know what the best income ETFs are out there because they are constantly gonna be changing on a daily basis. Now, people love income investments because they give steady cash flow without having to sell anything. They can help cover bills, reinvest for growth, or provide stability in retirement. It's like getting paid for just waiting. Guys, life is way too short to only retire and enjoy life when you are old and gray. Investing in income ETFs is just one of many tools to building wealth and being able to retire earlier. Now, let's go over some of the criteria that we're going to be using to rank these ETFs. Remember, because this is the power rankings. It's what have you done for me lately, not what have you always done for me. So I'm going to be looking specifically at their performance since June 1st. That was the last time I made a power rankings video. And of course, when you invest in these funds, you're not necessarily looking for capital appreciation. But one thing I don't want to see is NAV erosion. What good is getting high dividends if my principal is just going to go down the same amount every single month? Now, you might notice there's not a very super high yielding ETF provider on this list. That's because they have not consistently shown that they can protect an investor's principal. And when they finally start to do that, then maybe they'll make an appearance on this list. Now, ideally, no NAV erosion. It should be going up over time. And I want real dividends from profits on options trading. I don't want them to just keep giving me a return on capital and calling that a dividend so that they could advertise that as a higher yield. That is a true dividend fugazi, or what I like to call Mickey Mouse dividends. They are not real dividends. And of course, I don't have time to look at every single income ETF out in the market. There's new ones coming out all the time. That's why I read your guys' comments. I look at what you guys are leaving me in the comments because I constantly discover new funds because of you guys. And if you guys have opinions on certain ETFs, I use your feedback on how high or how low to rank an ETF. So let's get straight into it. An ETF that just missed out was T-SPY, or the Tap Alpha SPY Growth and Daily Income ETF. It has a super juicy yield of nearly 13%. The assets under management is slowly starting to grow as well. The only knock on this was that it's really has not had much capital appreciation, and it's only been out for about 1 year now, launching in August of 2024. So it's about to celebrate its first birthday. But for me, there's others on this list that have been around longer, that are giving juicier dividends, and have had better capital appreciation. But since June 1st, T-SPY is up 4.28%, which is a great rebound. Number 10, XDTE, QDTE, Round Hill. All right, this Round Hill duo here, they've been out for a while now, March of 2024, and XDTE has a dividend yield of 28.5%, which is absurd. Since June 1st, XDTE has went up 1.71% and QDTE is up 3.87%. And while the fund has done well since June 1st, unfortunately all time still, it is down and has had some NAV erosion. It is down 15.33%. XDTE is, and getting dividends paid weekly is great. Let's hope they can continue this in the future. Number 9, JEPI, JEPQ, JP Morgan Chase. Now, this is one that a lot of investors in the community are selling out of. This is one that's been number 1 in these power rankings for many weeks, but has had a very rough go around here in recent months. So JEPI is only up 77 basis points since June 1st. That's one of the lowest on this list. JEPQ, meanwhile, is actually up 5.92%. So really some disconnect here between their two flagship ETFs in the income space. Now, JEPI has been around for a very long time. It is not its first rodeo. It's been around since May of 2020. Well over 5 years now. Its 12-month yield is now 8.58%, which is pretty good. It's not super fantastic, but it's still really good. Low expense ratio, and it pays out dividends every single month. Let's take a look at some of their most recent dividends to see how they're doing. So in the month of June, they were paying out 54 cents. That was actually the highest by far in the year. And now they've gone back down in the other direction, just 39 cents or 40 cents, and then 36 cents this most recent month. So not much capital appreciation, and unfortunately the dividends are also headed the wrong way for JEPI. Number 8, SPY, Triple QI, NEOS. Now, no need to worry, guys. This is still probably the flagship ETF provider of the income ETF space. They just have not done as hot as some of these other income ETFs out here based on some of the criteria that I use. Now, SPY was up 4.27%. And QQQI was up 5.63% since June 1st. These are funds that have been out since August of 2022. SPY's 12-month yield is just under 12%, which is super juicy. That's getting a 1% return every single month. That can quickly compound into millionaire status. No significant NAV erosion for SPY. They're still up 5.61% since they've had their inception. People quickly piling money into this fund, nearly $5 billion in assets under management. It's like every time I make a video on them, that AUM number just keeps going up. Taking a look at their dividend history, they consistently are around that 50 cent mark. I love this consistency. It makes being in retirement that much easier when you can actually plan out how much in dividend income you might be receiving, and that could actually go toward paying your bills. Guys, don't wait till the next power rankings video to find out about the hottest, best income ETFs out there. Instead, join the Discord, where you get daily updates on all stock market news and some of the best ETFs out there with so many like-minded investors in the community. Number 7, QQA Invesco. This is the QQQ Income Advantage ETF. I love this particular ETF. This is actually one that I've been adding to my personal portfolio a lot here in recent months. They have a super low expense ratio, just 29 basis points. Their 12-month yield is 9.86%. They just had their first birthday, were released in July of 2024. And you can see here, no NAV erosion. In fact, they've went up nearly 7 percentage points while giving us that juicy dividend. What is not to like about QQA? Let's take a look at some of their dividend history here. Been getting paid some fat checks from them. So 43 cents, 44 cents, a little bit of an outlier here in April of 37 cents, but back to these big juicy dividends. Number 6, QDPL, Pacers. This is probably the one with the best name here. It's the multiplier 400. I would love to have my money multiplied by 400. Thank you very much. Now, this is one that's going to make people a little bit mad. They're going to see this trailing 12-month yield of only 5.43%, and we live in this world where 5% is somehow considered low yield because people's mind is very warped on what is high yield these days, unfortunately. But this is a great fund, a great ETF, and a great yield if people actually think about what's realistic in the stock market. So QDPL was released in July of 2021, so it's one of the more senior ETFs on this list. And they have done a great job managing people's money, up 18% in overall capital appreciation, and been giving a juicy yield here. Pays out dividends every single month, kind of a high expense ratio of 60 basis points. Not one that I hear get discussed a lot on YouTube. So let me know what you guys think about QDPL. Maybe it's ranked a little bit too high. Maybe it's not even ranked high enough. Number 5, RDVI, FT Vest Rising Dividend Achievers Target Income ETF. This is one that I might need to actually make a separate video about because I only learned about what this ETF was because of the subscriber Messed Up Parodies. Thank you so much for leaving a comment about this fantastic fund on my last video, and when I did some background research on it, I see that it is a very good ETF. This was released in October of 2022. It has a mouth-watering yield of 8.52%. That is super juicy. An expense ratio of 75 basis points, so it's a little bit more on the expensive side, but it is paying out monthly dividends. Let's take a look at some of that dividend history here, guys. So you can see it's very consistently around that 17 to 18 cent mark. Love consistency here. And of course, since their inception, they have taken care of investors' principal. They've been a good dividend steward of our money, which is all I could ever ask for. Number 4, QDVO, Amplify. All right, another great Amplify product here. QDVO was up 8.15% since June 1st. It's actually the highest on this list. Absolutely incredible. Now, this one hasn't been around that long. It's about to celebrate its first birthday as well. and it has a 12-month yield of 7.88%. It's actually going to be a little bit higher than that because I think they've only paid out 11 dividends so far. So it's going to probably be closer to around a 9% yield, which is super, super juicy. And if we look at how it's done in its first year of inception, it is up nearly 15%. That's really good. To get a 15% return in capital appreciation and then another 8-9% tacked onto that in terms of dividends. Lower expense ratio at 55 basis points. For something that's actively managed, that's not that bad. And it's giving out dividends every single month. Let's take a look at that dividend history. All right, guys, super juicy here. 15 cents, 28 cents, 20 cents, 21 cents, 23 cents. So it looks like the floor here is getting at least 20 cents almost every single month, assuming they're able to keep up this hot trading strategy. Strong buy ratings by some income investors, and then a CFA says it's just a hold. But hey, a hold is actually perfect for income investing, right? You want to just buy and hold these funds and just keep getting more and more in dividends. All right, we've reached the podium. Number 3, Bali BlackRock iShares. This is another fantastic income ETF that does not get enough credit. So we can see since June 1st, they are up 5.53%. They've been out since September of 2023, coming on nearly 2 years here. They have a 12-month yield of 8.6%, which is pretty juicy. And best of all, they're up 24.15% in capital appreciation since their inception. Again, you want to see these funds take good care of your money. You don't want to see them just distribute your own money back to you, or even worse, NAV erosion, where they erode your wealth. And if you think you're going to be in retirement very long with those types of funds, man, you better start filling out a job application real soon. Pretty low expense ratio here, up 35 basis points. Monthly dividends. We can see here they've done a very good job of paying dividends. It does look like over time this has went up a little bit or remained somewhat stable, or just had a few months of outliers like 38 cents, 23 cents, back to 20 cents, their most recent distribution. Love it from Bali. Number 2, GPIX, GPIQ. Goldman Sachs. All right, these are some of the best income ETFs out there. We've reached second place. These are funds that are up 5.21% and 6.42% since June 1st. That's just capital appreciation. So these are funds that have done very well in this rebound since some of the tariff talks in the spring. These have now been around for almost a full 2 years, being launched in October of 2023. We look at GPIX's 12-month yield, it's at 8.2%. And those who have been lucky enough to hold this fund since inception have seen nearly a 30% increase in capital appreciation. I mean, to have a fund that has this low of an expense ratio, pays out monthly dividends, is managed by one of the biggest institutions in the world. This is one that you can sleep very well at night with. It's a Swan income ETF, something that almost doesn't sound right, but this is one that I would feel very confident holding. Taking a look at its dividend history, we can see very consistent 33 cents, 35 cents, 36 cents. Amazing fund here with GPIX. Number 1, iSpy, IQQQ Pro Shares. Now I have a feeling this might be a little bit controversial, but just based on some of the metrics I used, they do deserve to be number 1 in this edition of Power Rankings. iSpy was up 7.05% and IQQQ was up 9.14%. These are funds that have been around for a year and a half now. They were released in December of 2023, and they have super juicy dividend yields. iSpy has a trailing 12-month of nearly 12% and is up 7.72% all time. That is absolutely fantastic. When we look at IQQQ, it has over a 13% dividend yield and has had no NAV erosion. In fact, it's up 3%. Did I make the right choice in putting these Pro Shares ETFs at the top spot? Let me know what some of your favorite income ETFs are in the comments below, and make sure you join the Discord so you can talk to me and other dividend investors about some of your favorite investments and learn so much. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Make sure you join the Patreon to get full access to my near $300,000 portfolio, where I post all my weekly trades.
I'm doing it the way I'm doing it, what I think is right, or what I think I'm doing it, and then people can watch me doing it. And